Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe.
Hey everyone, Kenny Tony coming at you today. Got another quick video. Nothing crazy. It's just going to be a real short one. Maybe kind of short, maybe kind of not, but it's not going to be overly long. It's going to be something simple that I'm going to be doing in this video. So, basically one of the things that I've always thought about when I've had different quads is how to grease them and different grease points. In my 660 Raptor, I added a grease zerk into the back that it didn't already have. In the Raptor 250, I added a grease zerk into the swing arm pivot area, as well as one back in the back where the carrier bearing is. I'm trying to figure out how to do one on the 2004 YFZ swing arm. I can figure something out, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to go that far or not. I know they make greasable ones, but you still have to take the sides off, take the sprockets off, and then slide it down. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is kind of drill a hole, maybe a 1/2 inch. That's where the problem is. I'll drill a hole 1/2 inch into the back of that case and then have a grease zerk sitting right there. Well, so if I can drill a hole into the back about this big, for example, I can use something, just a rubber plug. This is just an example, not really a tire plug, but just something that I can use to seal that plug in so that mud and debris and things don't get all in there. And then when I need to grease it, just pop that plug out, put the grease gun in there, pump some grease into it, pull it back out, plug that hole back up. Something I'm going to be thinking about working on in the future. But today's video is going to be making a greasable pivot bolt. Nothing crazy. So I have mine, stock pivot bolt for the YFZ 450. Looks like I bought it off eBay. Somebody probably already sandblasted and got it looking nice and clean for me. But everything works here. We're just going to line it up to the back of the swing arm. Get a couple guesstimate measurements. It doesn't have to be exact science. I'm going to drill 2 holes into it. I'm going to plug this end. Then I think I'm just going to use JB Weld and put my grease zerk into the other end. So the grease zerk that I'm going to be using is a 5/16 straight fit. It's the kind that you tap in. It does not have actual threads on it, but it does kind of wedge in there and have some grip on it. It fits in with just a little bit of play. So we're going to see if we can just get the JB Weld to set up in there. And that JB Weld has something crazy as far as PSI going. But let's go ahead and get this measured up, get the camera over there to the swing arm, and then see what we're going to be doing. So yes, we're going to keep it all in the bubble wrap here, but if I have my swing arm lined about up, I put the same amount of non-thread area on both sides. Where those 2 dots are is where I'm going to drill my holes. And the chances of it being like this are slim to none, but if it is, I'll still have it into the area of where the grease is going to be going into the pivot area in the swing. So here we're going. We're going to go ahead and get this into the vise. Nice and snug in there. We're going to put 2 holes in. Not looking for anything crazy. I'm just going to go with a 1/8 hole for right now. So that's it. So here we are. We have the 1/8 inch hole on each side. Here. Rotate it through on the exact same on the other side. So when you pump this out with grease, it's going to come through. It's still going to take its path to this end, but once it gets blocked off, it's going to want to ooze out of these two areas. So we're going to get this side blocked off. We're going to get this side with the Zerk in it. See what it's going to be like at the end. Alright, so we're back in. So this is the plan. We're going to take the bolt, and on this end, we're going to put the tap-in Zerk that needs to have some JB Weld going around it. We're going to put JB Weld into the other hole here to plug it. JB Weld that I have is the higher strength formula, original cold weld formula. It is at 5,200 psi, so it's pretty strong. So my plan is to put some of it on here. Black, some of the white on there. I'll mix these two together. Nice gray chemical reaction. Why am I using a bag? You'll see here in a second. It's going to help me be able to get it into that area a little easier. I'm gonna take my bag. That's my plan at least. We'll see if it helps me. Put it back right side in. Didn't actually use enough, I don't think, but so we're gonna be able to squeeze out. It's going to help me get as much into that slot as possible without it just being caked up on the outside. A heaping amount there. Painter's tape is always your friend. It keeps things from sticking to it real bad. Another piece and actually just tape over the area. I want it kind of nice and flat around there. And flip it back over. So gravity is going to help all of it go back down to the bottom, create a nice little plug there. Now on this end, I'm going to just pretty much cover all these threads up with the JB Weld as well. So, all covered up. I'm gonna put it into there and slowly twist it as we're putting it in. And that's what we have. Spin it one time. We'll let it sit here. The curing time for this one is 4 to 6 hours set time, and cure time is 15 to 24. We're not actually going to have this in use for days. So basically when this is all over with, I'm going to be able to pump grease into here. It's going to go through the tube, and then once it hits the plug and starts to build pressure, it will come out of the two holes. Now, what I'm also going to do is my bushing that is in there, that's in the swing arm sides, one here and one here, I'm going to cut a couple slots in them, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 slots in there, so that the grease is able to go on the other side of the bushing as well, and we can have that whole area, that whole joint well lubricated really well. But that's it. Cheap way to make a pivot swing bolt that's greasable. And anybody can do this without a welder. Now, I do have a welder at home that I could have done this with, but I decided to use a JB Weld because I wanted this to be something that anybody could do. So here we are with the demonstration. Squeeze it and the grease comes on out. I'm gonna plug these two sides. It's hard to do it because I did not bring my stand out, so I'm just gonna cover up those two sides and get the grease to the other end and be right back on. All right, so here we go. Grease to both ends. That's exactly what we wanted. So the idea is that once we squeeze this, it's going to come out into the bushings and then sleep through those cracks and get to where the bearings are and keep everything in there nice and lubricated. So here's what I did. So in here, there's the spacer and there's two rollers. One roller is a bearing and one's kind of just like the spacer that goes in there. But I put some gouges there so that when the bolt goes through and I pump the grease in, the grease will be able to come onto the outside and get to the bearing as well, because that is kind of sealed in there. But this is all going to work out really well. Just let me know what you think in the comments.
This is the end.